Okay, thanks for joining us again, everyone. Another episode of Spooky Mountain. I'm Steph, and I've got Jordi with me.
Hi, everyone. Hope y'all are doing fantastic.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm on radio right now.
Hello out there, everyone. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks for tuning in to Spooky Mountain FM.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'd be the worst radio host.
Oh, me too.
It's fucking freezing tonight, everyone. And I know you're like, you're in Australia. It doesn't get cold in Australia. It does. It really does. And it's
I can't believe it.
It's like 10 at night and it is fucking freezing and it's like windy everywhere.
It's the worst.
And Jordi's door keeps opening up.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come through like the audio. I'm sorry if you can, because it's not just the door, it's everything all around
Everything reacts.
is moving right now. So I'm hoping it's not too noisy on the recording, but I'm sitting here shivering my tits off.
Yeah.
I've got like a big coat on. It's so
you
cold.
look so rugged up.
Yeah, you would think I'm rugged up, but I'm like just in pain. I'm in pain.
my hands are literally in my tracksuit pants, like on my thighs, keeping my hands warm. It's so stupid.
God.
The perfect spooky night.
It's the first day of winter tomorrow.
Oh my God, it is.
Oh wait,
no,
how many days of this month?
Wednesday it is. So it's the 31st tomorrow, and then winter. Wednesday.
Almost winter. So no wonder it's getting cold.
That fucking man, that autumn went fast.
It went so fast. And I think it was because our summer was pretty miserable. Like summer, we had El Nino. I think it's El Nino. The one that's really rainy.
Yeah.
And so our summer was it's so moist. And it was not hot.
No.
I think it's all just kind of like mushed into one.
Yeah. I don't really remember summer too well at all. No. So that kind of skipped that one.
That one.
I don't know what you're doing for your story this week. I have no idea. You knew my clue.
Yeah.
You tell me yours first.
I don't even know how to give you a hint about this. So I guess it's just a bit of a fun one.
Oh.
It's a list. There we go. There's a clue. It's a list. I honestly don't even know how to.
Oh, look, you can leave it there. That's fine.
It's just a list.
I'm excited.
It's fun, not too serious. Great. What about your one? What are you doing?
You know what? We're doing a UFO story.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah,
I'm just so ready for a UFO. I'm so ready to record tonight. I'm so ready for a UFO story.
It's a good UFO story.
Awesome.
It is a classic UFO story. So,
nice.
most people will probably know what this is.
Okay.
But I guess if you're not really into UFOs or aliens, probably you don't have, you probably don't know what it is. So
cool.
I think you've got half of listeners here. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm really keen to cover it. But I guess we'll do a bit of housekeeping just before we jump in.
Let's do it.
So just a reminder to everyone that we do have support options. So, of course, if you do want to support what we do in our podcast, we have created a Patreon, which is a kind of a subscription service pretty much. So we have a link below in our show notes and we have a couple of tiers you can sign up to. And we've got exclusive videos on Patreon. We've got some special posts. We've got access to our private Discord group as well. So we use that daily. So that's kind of the best way to chat with us.
It's been a while since we've had a new patron sign up as well.
Yeah.
So we should. I'm looking forward to getting another one soon.
It's always exciting when there's a new one in the Discord group.
It's so exciting. It's like a new pupil in your class.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Hey, who are you? What's your name? Where are you from?"
Yeah, you learn all about them.
If you want to be that new person, definitely sign up. But of course, if you don't want to sign up, that's totally okay. You can just share our podcast or leave us a review or just rate us on any of your podcasting platforms. That's the best way for people to see our show. It is so important to leave reviews and ratings, so it really takes no effort at all, and that would be the best.
Yeah, I mean, we personally really appreciate reviews and ratings, but reviews mostly. But it does just like super, super help us become visible to other people who are looking for a new podcast to listen to.
Yeah.
But I guess another way that you can support us is by following us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook. We always answer messages from people who contact us, and even email. We always email back people who've emailed us, and if you wanted to contact us that way, you can email us at spookymountainpodcast@gmail.com. We want to hear you say hi or your own creepy story, because sometimes we do listener episodes and we might even read your own spooky story on a listener episode. But if you didn't want to do that, but you still wanted to leave us something voicey, you can leave us a voice message on our speak pipe, and you can find our speak pipe on our website. I think that's the only place you can really there's a link on the website.
It's on our contact us page. It just has a little voice message button, nice and easy to find. So I thought I'd just share this quick situation that happened yesterday, I think. Oh, it was on Saturday. It's so fucking weird. So Dylan mowed the lawn, which was nice. It was
that is a weird situation. I agree. That is a very strange situation.
It was lovely. It was just the front yard because it was fucked. And we're on a corner house, so just people walk past and just throw
stuff onto
wipes
your
and
lawn.
shit. Oh, it's so fucked up. I don't even understand.
What the fuck?
So it always looks like we've trashed the house when we really haven't, because we take good care of the garden. So I was like, let's fucking, fix it up. So he mowed all the lawn and everything. It looked really good. And when he was done, he came into the house and he's like, Steph, can you just come out here for a second? Just put your shoes on. I want you to come and look at something. And I'm like, oh my God.
What is it?
All right, what is it? And he leads me to the front, in our front yard. So over the fence, in our front yard, on the grass, outside of our bedroom window, is half a giant rat that it sounds so stupid. I was so angry we didn't take a photo of this because we put it in the bin straight away. It was literally cut in half from the bottom of its rib cage. So it was from the bottom of its rib cage up to its head was on the ground.
Oh my God.
And the inside was just completely hollowed out.
It's cattle mutilation, but with a rat.
So like its head was all there and everything. It looked a little bit gory, but it was cleaned out on the inside. And
yuck.
The weird thing was we were literally just staring at it going, what the fuck? So we've got 2 cats. They only go outside with our supervision in the backyard for 10 minutes. That's it. They've never caught a fucking bird or anything like that. Plus, we have never seen a mouse or a rat ever in our area.
Crazy.
So, and this was a big, like the size of a chihuahua rat.
What the fuck?
Like,
oh my God.
Decent sized fucking rat. Because I was like, is that a possum? And we're like, no, that's an actual rat.
Rats get so big in Sydney.
Yeah.
Like,
we're in the
chihuahua
suburbs.
size.
We're not even near.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you haven't seen them before in your area.
Nothing at all. And it's very weird. We were just like, did a dog just like clean bite the bottom half and then just lick out the inside? And then we're like, did we make someone angry? Like, is someone leaving this there as a threat?
Godfather
like,
style.
We haven't even talked to our neighbours really before. So he just was heaps sad, put plastic bags on his hands and like sadly picked it up and put it in the bin. And then, we were kind of sitting there that night and Dylan's like, I can't stop thinking about the rat.
The poor rat.
I can't stop thinking about it. I was like, me neither. He's like, why didn't we take a photo of it? I'm like, because it was just too weird when it happened.
Yeah.
We were like, get rid of it.
That's
but now
so
it's like
weird that
really on our mind.
It was like gutted out as well.
It was gutted out. And it looked like it's been there for about 2 days. So it looked like it was just sitting there for 2 days, which is the weirdest thing because it's literally outside of our bedroom window. And I'm like, our cats sit there all the time and they must have just seen it there.
But they would have been interested in it if they had seen it, right? Like at least sniffing at it?
We were out there and Barnaby was just on the window staring at us but didn't even acknowledge it. So I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know. It was a really weird thing. So we were looking around for the other half of it as well. He was like, it's got to be around here somewhere.
Oh my God, that's so fucking creepy. I mean,
it's so gross.
It sounds like it's pretty big, but cats can fuck a rat up.
Yeah. But it was clean, like you could see the whole rib cage. It was really weird.
That's
like
fucked up.
It was like cut, like you just literally like just a chop, clean cut through
What
it.
if it was a human? What if a human did do this?
Oh, that's like the only thing I can actually think of is that someone
kind of
actually did
human.
that and left it there. And I'm like, I'm so glad we're moving now. I'm scared.
Oh,
like,
as a threat.
yeah, it's like
They're
a
like,
weird
your
threat.
garden
We
is
don't
too
even
nice.
have like it's like full family suburban vibe around here. So I'm like, I really don't know who would do that. So it's very odd. But yeah, I'll keep everyone updated if I find the other second half of the rat.
Tell us if you find the bottom half. That poor rat. I hope it was
Yeah.
dead properly before it was gutted.
Oh fuck.
Well, it's
yeah.
funny that you bring up an animal story. I actually wanted to tell you about an animal thing. So yeah, I think I mentioned last episode that we had a death in our family, and my mum was telling me, so she called me up and she was the one to tell me that this person passed away, and she was telling me that my dad rang her to tell her that this
Right.
person passed away, and as he was like on the phone to her, a dragonfly flew into her house and landed like just next to her head. And I was like, oh, that's nice. You know, it's just kind of like a nice little thing. And she was like, yeah, but this dragonfly keeps on coming into our house and coming near us at really strange times. So my daughter Panda was at their house and they were looking after her one day, and Panda was looking at a photo of my nan who passed away, a year and a half ago or something. And as my mum was saying to Panda, oh, that's Grandy, you know, like she loves you, blah, 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 the dragonfly flew in and landed right next to my daughter.
Oh.
And there was like a couple of other times where I think it was when my mum called me to tell me that my nan had like passed away, the dragonfly came in. And so she was telling me this just like a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And apparently dragonflies are supposed to be like a messenger from a loved one who's passed away. Like, I don't get too symbolic about shit like
No,
this.
that is really,
It's really weird,
really
right?
weird.
I caught up with my mum just a few days ago, and I was like, oh, can you just send me in a message all the details about the dragonfly, because I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. And she was like, you wouldn't believe it. I was talking to Dad about Nan, and the dragonfly came in
No.
and the cat ate it.
Oh.
The cat caught it and ate it.
No.
How horrible is that?
What a bad ending.
No, it had such a good start.
I thought you were going to say something completely different. Holy shit.
I was like, what? She ate the dragonfly. Oh, there'll be another one. Another dragonfly will take its place. But my mum was Devo.
That's so sad. You rarely see dragonflies. Like, I've seen a couple since I've started gardening, like when the veggie garden is around. Apparently they're like also a sign of like there's good not produce, but like there's a good something
okay.
like a healthy air or something like that.
Right.
So there's usually a couple that are always hovering around all the vegetables and stuff, which is kind of
that's
cool.
a good sign.
Yeah, so they hover around like really healthy areas and stuff.
Maybe it's
but
just
that's
like
when I don't really see them other than that.
yeah.
But I love that.
I love it as well. And it's
Except for the
funny.
ending.
So I collect cactus, right? I've got like hundreds of cactus. And I started my like collecting cactus when I was with like an ex-boyfriend, and he kind of got me into cactus collecting. And he actually passed away like a few years ago. And when I was living in Sydney, I would see dragonflies like sitting on his cactus. And I never really thought about it until this whole dragonfly thing. And they always were just sitting on his cactus, just sitting there.
That is so weird.
That's cute as well.
I
find it to be
like that.
pretty nice.
I'm going to have to try and pick up on this stuff now, I think, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of things you kind of disregard in small moments like that. And I think
Yes.
that's a really nice one to kind of...
It's really nice. And it is one of those things where in my brain, I'm like, look, it could just be like a fucking dragonfly. But I think if you want to take that moment as a
what's the
nice
harm in it?
thing
It's
or a
nice.
sign, then you fucking go for that.
Yeah.
I've also heard that owls, if you see an owl like either super close up or at like a weird time when they're not supposed to be awake because they're nocturnal, it's a sign of either like an oncoming death or birth. And my dad, so I've got this little cousin. The day before she was born, my dad was up at his car, like up the top of the driveway. He opened the boot of the car and this big fucking owl just came and landed right on the boot of the car and just stared at him.
Oh,
And my
that's
cousin,
weird.
it's weird. My cousin was born the next day.
That's fucking weird.
I
Owls
know.
kind of like freak me out. I think because I
They're
usually
pretty
think
scary.
of like a lot of alien, like
The fifth kind.
Or
was it the fourth
Oh,
kind?
the fourth kind. Yeah,
Fourth
that kind
kind.
of fucked with me. And also the staircase. Did you watch that true crime doc about how the owl?
Oh, don't tell me. Oh, don't tell me.
Okay, I didn't say anything.
Because I've watched some of the documentary.
Oh, okay.
And I'm up to the latest episode of like the drama series, but they've just touched on the owl, so we don't know what's happening with the owl.
Okay. Jesus
that was
Christ,
a
you were
fucking
quick
close
there. That
one.
was- It's been out for
'Cause
a
I've been
while, so I was like,
hanging-
everyone knows what's going on.
I've been hanging out for these episodes and I'm just like waiting because when Panda's at daycare, I watched the latest episode and it's like
Yes.
my one moment to myself where I
Yeah.
purposefully get myself breakfast,
Yeah.
make sure the house is clean, make myself coffee, and I sit on the lounge with blankets and I watch the latest episode of The Staircase.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's actually so random that I mentioned that and you're
know.
watching it. All right.
Oh,
Well,
that was a nice.
Maybe I'll get into my story.
Yes, girl, do it.
So we are going back to England for this story. It's one of the most famous UFO events ever to happen
Okay.
and the most famous to ever happen in England. The majority of people that know about UFOs, they will know of this story as it's so well reported. It's known as the UK's own Roswell. Tonight I'll be talking about what happened in Rendlesham Forest. Have you heard of this
Yeah.
before?
So it's on my list. It's been on my list for ages, and I've like started researching it a little bit, but I didn't get far into it. So
Oh, okay.
heard the name, don't know really what
Right.
happened. So this is exciting.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so the Rendlesham Forest is located in Suffolk, England, and in the late 1980s, it was used by the US Air Force. There were dozens of Air Force personnel who had witnessed the events unfold over 3 days and would change the
Oh,
way they
wow.
would view the world forever.
3 days.
Yep.
Fuck.
So the forest is about 15 kilometres squared, or 5.8 square miles, and is mainly conifer trees with a mixture of wetlands. North of the forest is the Royal Air Force Base Bentwaters, and in the south is RAF Woodbridge, which were both occupied by the US Air Force at the time. So the bases were under the command of Colonel Ted Conrad and Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt. Now, Holt would later become a very important person in this incident, which is what gave this whole case a lot of credibility.
Okay.
The very first incident happened on the 26th of December 1980. So it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and a security patrol officer near the East Gate of Royal Air Force Base Woodbridge reported seeing strange lights descend into the Rendlesham Forest. Now, initially, they thought these were lights from a downed aircraft, as you would expect, and astronomers thought it would have been just debris from a meteor or something. However, the servicemen would then enter the forest to see what this was. As they would walk further into the darkness of the trees, they could see the light in the distance. As they got closer, they described it as a glowing object, metallic in appearance and with coloured lights. They would try to get a bit closer and they could hear the animals on a farm nearby start to go into a frenzy.
Oh, that's a sign.
So this is when they now described it as a white light that silently exploded and then a red oval sun-like object in the clearing.
Oh my God.
It then lifted up through the trees and shot back down towards the coast. So there's a lot going on.
Heaps going
with
on.
the lights. It's just like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
That's terrifying as well. Imagine just being in a forest and seeing
God.
that.
And this forest is creepy. It's like pitch black, tall, creepy.
Right. Yeah, big conifers. Yeah.
So around 4 a.m., so an hour after the first sighting, the local police were called to the scene and reported that the only light they could see was from the Orford Ness Lighthouse, which is not really close by at all. Now, you could see a bit of the lighthouse beam if you were very far east of the forest. There's like a very particular spot you'd be able to see it.
Right, but that's very different to like a red and big lights.
Exactly, like
so
completely different thing. Like everyone knows what a lighthouse beam looks like.
And from afar as well. There's no way that this is the same thing.
Yeah, like this whole thing caused such a stir when they were like, yeah, the police are saying that it's from the lighthouse. Everyone's like, fuck off, whatever.
On your bike.
Yeah. So when the sun would start to rise, more servicemen would go back to the scene where the original men had witnessed this object. They found a small clearing at the eastern edge of the forest where they would see 3 circular impressions in a triangular pattern.
Oh,
they would be consistent with landing marks. They also found burnt and broken branches around the site. Plaster casts were made of the impressions in the ground, and the local police showed up again to make their useless claims. This time, they said that these indents were made from an animal.
An animal? What kind of animal? A 3-legged animal?
Yeah. And there are actually images taken of the imprints on the ground as well, and they do not look anything like animal prints or whatever the fuck. Like, I'm not saying it's definitely a UFO, but it's not an animal.
It's not an animal.
It's so stupid.
It's interesting that I'm glad that they took the like plaster casts.
Yes.
'Cause that doesn't always happen with stuff like this.
So a couple of days later, on the 28th of December, it was very early in the morning when Colonel Holt, who I mentioned previously, and a few other servicemen went out to the location of the prints. They went out there to do some radiation readings, only to find small increases around the site. However, during this little expedition, Holt had actually been recording all of this on a microcassette recorder.
Oh, okay.
The recordings last for just over 18 minutes. Now, the reason why this is relevant is that they started to witness something while they were out there, and we can hear them in the audio discussing their sighting as it's happening.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
So I am going to play a few minutes of this audio.
Awesome.
I've spliced together a few clips here.
Cool.
The main person you'll hear talking is Holt, and you can hear the other servicemen with him in the background discussing what they can see.
0148, we're hearing very strange sounds out of the farmer's barnyard animals. It's very, very active, making an awful lot of noise.
Yes, and a pigmentation.
You just saw a light where? Wait, no, slow down. Where?
Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again. Watch, straight ahead off my flashlight there, sir. There it is.
Hey, I see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So, can I get some of it? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. Something variable here.
Tree right over.
We just frightened the first nightbird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead.
It's yellow.
I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Yellow. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird. To the left. Yeah, definitely moving left.
Two lights. One light to the front, one light to the left.
Keep the flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Pieces are falling off it again.
But it just moved to the right.
Yeah.
Off to the right.
Strange. Oh, wait, why again to the left? Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. You want to do without lights? Just do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow stare, a dark stare. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright through the star scope that it almost burns your eye. 305. We see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. 305 at about 10 degrees horizon directly north. We've got two strange objects, half-moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them. About, guessed to be about 5 to 10 miles out, maybe less. The half-moons have now turned into full circles. As though there was an eclipse or something there for a minute or two. 0315 now, we've got an object about 10 degrees directly south, 10 degrees off the horizon. And the ones to the north are moving, one's moving away from us. Okay, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. 330, or 0330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground. 0400 hours, one object still hovering over Woodbridge Base at about 5 to 10 degrees off the horizon, still moving erratic and similar lights and beaming down this area.
Oh my God, how incredible is that audio?
It's insane
I
listening
can
to that.
barely believe it. Like,
It's like from a movie.
it really is.
It really, you just can't believe that they're actually witnessing this. It's
And that's the thing, is that they're surprised as well. They're not like, oh, it's something strange. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
real time. That is
In real time.
so rare. And
Rare.
they're not just like citizens, not the,
Exactly.
like us. Like these are
yeah.
officials, and Holt is a colonel. Like he's one of
Yes.
the base commanders there.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely incredible.
And
So
the beams of light as well. What is that?
I know,
That
it's fucking
is
nuts.
just wild.
So just to kind of recap what happened in that 3 minutes. So you do discuss him we do hear him discuss at the start about the barn animals again. So
Exactly.
this is 2 nights after the first time the other
Yeah.
people heard it. So these are completely
Yeah.
different people this time.
Mm-hmm.
So after the barn animals start, they start to go dead quiet.
Oof.
And then that's when they see their first light. So
I
it was
Just the like hearing the barn animals like that is pretty unnerving.
Yeah. They said it was like them going into a frenzy.
Ugh,
Like that's how
crazy.
they worded it. Yeah. So the light was across a field. It was in line with the farmhouse. Now keep in mind this is in a completely different direction to the lighthouse.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. And later on they would witness 3 star-like lights, with the brightest one shining a beam of light down every now and again. And they then decide to leave and head back to the base. But so this would be the last of the sightings of Rendlesham Forest. Or is it? Because if we go back to the very first night of the incident, the 26th of December, we have 3 supposed witnesses that apparently saw something other than just lights. Now, people are very skeptical about these claims, as there was no official report made, and there are a few inconsistencies if you do look a little deep into it. But this is what they claim happened. So when the first light was seen by the security patrol officer, Sergeant Jim Pennington, John Burrows, and Ed Cabansag, were sent out into the forest to investigate. So they were the very first ones to go out.
Okay.
They claim to have seen and followed a craft in the forest for 45 minutes. The craft had landed and they were able to approach it, and they even touched it.
Oof.
Now, Pennington, he actually has a notebook that he had on him during this whole event, and he did drawings of the craft.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, and the alleged hieroglyphic inscriptions that were on the side of the craft. So obviously this claim is fucking huge if it's true.
Massive claim.
Because no one else claimed to see any actual craft. It's all just lights.
No, that's
very
right.
weird lights doing things.
This like encounter is definitely weird compared to the other people and what
Definitely.
they've seen, because
Yeah, it's completely different encounter, pretty much. And also, his notebook reveals a lot of detail about the craft and alleged binary code that he received telepathically from an unknown source.
Huh.
No one actually claims to see his notebook prior to 2003.
Okay.
A few documentaries when he reveals it. So that does definitely raise a couple of red flags there.
It does, but also, like, depending on who you are, like, coming out with something like this can risk your job, your reputation. If you're an official of some kind, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
to
I
come
mean,
out with something like
he
this.
was not a tie-up, but yeah, he was a sergeant. So, I mean, they were all in the
Still.
army, all of them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can completely see where
For sure.
that lies. Now, I will mention that the other two men that he was with, they do say they saw the craft as well, but the events do play out a little bit differently on their end. So their stories don't really match up too well,
Okay.
but that could just be due to it being a fucking crazy thing that they're
Well,
witnessing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm sure you'd be in such a not to like make excuses, but you'd be in such a state of shock that I think it would be hard to fully retain all the information precisely of what you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. But leaving all of that behind, we can move to a couple of years after all these events took place. So specifically, October 2nd, 1983. The very first public report would be published. The newspaper, News of the World, had the headline, UFO lands in Suffolk, and that's official. It's such a good headline.
Catchy headline.
So they wrote their story based on the account of a US airman named Larry Warren. However, at the time, he was using a pseudonym, Art Wallace. But then we also had the first piece of public evidence made available to the public shortly after. And that was by Colonel Holt. So he had made a report after his incident. It was about 2 weeks after, so the 13th of January, 1981. So after he saw all of this and recorded the audio. His report was named Unexplained Lights.
Okay.
Now, this report gave the incident a lot of credibility as he was completely risking his position as deputy base commander. He always stood by what he and the others saw. Plus, he even put forward the audio recording he had on that night.
You
You
would.
can't, it's ridiculous, you know.
It's such a raw
Yeah.
like experience. Yeah, you can tell that it's legit. I mean, you would
Absolutely.
absolutely put that audio out just to like give credit to what you're saying, 'cause
Yeah.
it's such a wild allegation.
It's unbelievable. I've never heard anything like it before. So Holt would later sign an affidavit in 2010 to confirm and recall yet again what had happened to him and the others that night,
Okay.
claiming that he did believe what he saw was to be extraterrestrial.
And even that within itself, like signing an affidavit, I know is it's a legal
It's illegal.
thing. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're swearing that you're telling the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very important
Yeah,
piece
definitely.
of information.
So just to quote Holt, I believe the objects that I saw at close quarter were extraterrestrial in origin, and that the security services of both the United Kingdom and the United States have attempted, both then and now, to subvert the significance of what occurred at Rendlesham Forest and RAF Bentwaters by the use of well-practiced methods of disinformation.
Yes.
He also wanted to bring up the claims that he and his men did not see a lighthouse beam. So to quote Holt again, while in Rendlesham Forest, our security team observed a light that looked like a large eye, red in colour, moving through the trees. After a few minutes, this object began dripping something that looked like molten metal. A short while later, it broke into several smaller, white-coloured objects which flew away in all directions. Claims by skeptics that this was merely a sweeping beam from a distant lighthouse are unfounded. We could see the unknown light and the lighthouse simultaneously. The latter was 35 to 40 degrees off where all of this was happening.
Oh my God, what a wealth of information. That is just incredible. He's so onto it.
Oh, absolutely. He's like, don't fuck with me. Like, I'm risking my whole goddamn career for this shit. Like,
yes. And he gives the position of it. Yeah. Like, and yeah, he again says that it looks like it was an eye. And
that was creepy.
Very creepy. And what he said about it kind of breaking apart and then the bits kind of flew away themselves, that does align with what some people see in the sky.
Yes.
Where it's almost like one light will turn into many.
Yes. You see lots of videos of that actually, with lots of UFO reports like that. It's pretty cool. So after all this came out, it really fired up the government officials.
I bet.
This was not an official document that was signed. So they did not want him to release this. Now, Colonel Ted Conrad, who was the base commander overseeing the whole area at the time, completely denied any of this happening. Quote, "We saw nothing that resembled Lieutenant Colonel Holt's descriptions, either in the sky or on the ground. We had people in position to validate Holt's narrative, but none of them could. He should be ashamed and embarrassed by his allegation that his country and Britain both conspired to deceive their citizens over this issue. He knows better."
Oh my God, that's like a direct attack on Holt's character as well, almost. You know,
Conrad was so fucking pissed off this whole thing, like the whole situation. He pretty much just claimed it all to be a hoax. He was like, "No, this is all just fake. You guys need to get a fucking life."
Discredit.
Of course, Holt heard after he came out with that. Holt was like, "I don't fucking think so. You're not going to get the last word on this, bitch." So this is what Holt said after hearing that. Ted Conrad is either having memory problems, has his head in the sand, or continuing the cover-up. Even his son has admitted to family talk substantiating the incident. Through the years, Conrad has made conflicting statements about these events. First, he stated he never went out to look in the sky, then stated he never saw anything. Apparently, he doesn't remember talking to me on his radio about seeing the UFO sending beams down of light onto the base. Remind Conrad of his article in the OMNI magazine dated March 1983. In the article, he describes the first incident in detail and concludes, "Those lads saw something, but I don't know what it was." Now he's smearing those involved. It's pretty clear that there was a very intense confrontation with something in the forest. It's all this sassy, bitches.
I know. It reminds me of the Burn book from Mean Girls. Conrad is a skanky slut.
Yeah. Totally. Oh my God. He's got some memory problems or something. It's so good. So now this OMNI article he's referring to, It is really interesting. I had to read through it. So it was published in 1983. And yeah, like they talked to Conrad about the incident, like really not long after it all happened. And he confirmed the men spotting the lights, the policemen being called,
What a
two of the
dickhead.
men, they're going into the forest, coming across the craft. So even Pennington's statement about seeing it all.
So he clearly does have memory issues.
Yeah, yeah,
Just like
exactly.
Holt
Like
said,
he
like,
actually
come
does
on.
then. He describes the craft that they actually saw and what happened in detail. Yeah, and he does actually say those lads saw something, but I don't know what it was. So I don't know what's going on with Conrad. He's like flip-flopping all over the place with his story. It definitely makes it more sus in that he's trying to cover something up because he's one above Holt. So he's really trying to hush this whole incident down.
Yes. I mean, there's probably pressure on him from other people. Like I say that like I know as a fact.
I
but
can
don't.
imagine that too. Yeah, they're just like,
Pressure
"You end
from
this
others."
whole incident now, and he's like trying
Yeah.
to, but he's like, fuck, I've already said some
Or,
shit in the newspaper.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the best idea to have him try and discredit the situation.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Just do it some other way. Say it was a weather balloon or something like
I know,
that.
he just was straight up just like, yeah, this
Nothing
happened. And then
nothing
like
happened.
20 years later, he's like, no,
Sorry.
they're all fucking lost it. So now there has actually been reports of confirmation of the police report as well. So that does exist. There is a log dated the 26th of December, 1980, where you can see they were called out by the RAF Woodbridge due to some strange light. After the sergeant returns that night, the conclusion on the report is, quote, only lights visible in this area was from the Otford Lighthouse. Search made of the area negative. So that's all they said. And to really nail his claim that he believes it was the lighthouse beam that they saw, he said, I know from personal experience that at night, in certain weather and cloud conditions, these beams were very pronounced and certainly caused strange visual effects.
But they saw the lighthouse at the same time
Yeah.
as...
And you're telling me that a colonel doesn't know the fucking difference between a lighthouse beam and a fucking giant red flashing blinking light that's dropping molten lava like lights all over, like
that looks like an eye.
yeah, this is insane. It's just
And
absolutely insane.
the animals were going crazy.
The
at the
animals are
same
going
time.
crazy as well. Ask the animals.
Ask the
No one
animals.
asked the animals.
What do they think about this whole
I
thing?
know.
You know,
Fucking hell. Yeah, they didn't ask them.
rude.
So to this day, it is seen as one of the most well-known and reported UFO sightings due to the fact it was witnessed by many US Air Force personnel who can actually go to the supposed location of the landing. And there is a track called the UFO Trail where it leads to a replica UFO of Pennington's
wow.
description. So it's actually there of the size. Obviously, with any of these cases, we will never know what they really saw. But I can tell you that it definitely wasn't a lighthouse. As if they were in the forest all the time and they worked there and lived there. They would have fucking seen it before. They know what they're looking at.
And especially as like military people, they would know this shit like the back of their hands.
It's just a fucking joke.
Yeah.
That's like better off saying nothing and I don't know what it is than try to make it something super dumb. Like
Making an
really
excuse
just-
like that.
Yeah, it's just makes me so angry. And look, so many of the men came forward and put forward their reports of what they saw as well. They risked their careers and their life as well because a lot of once their career's over, they can't get a job anywhere else, you know. And
That's it.
luckily, they seem to be okay. I think because so many went forward. But yeah, I definitely believe that they saw something. Whether it was
sure.
UFO or not, I have no idea, but it sounds crazy.
They saw something. I reckon it was a UFO. But I mean, even if it's not a UFO,
Yeah.
they saw something for sure, and it wasn't a lighthouse.
It was not a fucking lighthouse.
And let's just say fuck Conrad as well. Like fuck this guy.
Conrad. Fuck you, Conrad, and fuck the policeman who thinks it's a fucking lighthouse beam? I'm so angry.
That's
I was
so
just reading going,
stupid.
are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
Oi.
I guess that it is kind of understandable that from certain positions, yeah, there would be pressure for you to discredit these things.
I just quit my job and be like, I'm not faking this shit. Like, that's...
Because it would also just change your world as well. Like, you've seen these things happening, and then you see maybe people putting pressure on you to deny it. It's like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? It would really shake things up, I think.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, be like, why are we meant to hide this? Like,
Yes.
shouldn't we be talking about this? Shouldn't we be, like, figuring out some sort of plan? Shouldn't we? Like,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, it's fine. We know about it.
It's all good.
Just cover it
Just
up. We've been doing
deny
it for
it.
years. Just
Yeah.
listen to us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I guess even, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be like, I could imagine it would be a pretty stressful situation, but still, I feel like most people would think that they have to get this information out there and tell the world.
Yeah. And
I
good
guess.
on them. And I think the audio just made it. Oh, chef's
Oh, it's
kiss to
so
the audio.
crazy. I
It's
can't
just
believe that
cherry on
audio.
top of the whole thing. I love it.
It really is. You can just hear the like surprise and shock about
Yeah.
what they're saying.
It was really interesting listening to the full 18 minutes because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Like, it literally only happens in the last five minutes.
Right.
So I was listening to the whole thing of them just scanning the ground going, oh, yep.
Okay.
Yep, a little increase here with the, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is so boring. And then it was
that's
just bam.
Everything happened. Well, that's
Yeah.
another good point though. Like, they were sent there to
Mm-hmm.
check the soil or like the area for radiation.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that within itself is like, well, why were they doing that?
Yeah.
Unless they thought it was something that was giving off radiation.
That's right.
And yeah, I don't know. The excuse that it's like animal prints as well, that's kind of just ridiculous.
Oh my
They're not very good at making up excuses,
They're really
these people.
not. I feel like I could do better.
Better.
Not that I want to, but I could.
I'm sure you could. Yeah. Everyone hires Steph as your propaganda
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. Don't you worry. So yeah, that's a lovely, famous case of the Rendlesham Forest.
That was
everyone.
so great.
Yeah, I love it.
Probably one of my favorite stories so far. that
Oh,
I think
awesome.
not just that you've done, but of the podcast. That was
Oh, hell yeah.
really interesting. Every
Yeah.
moment I was like, oh, what's going to happen?
It's really interesting. Hey, yeah, it's
Yep.
just absolutely. I mean, yeah, you really understand why like it's so famous because there's so much
Yes.
to it. And I really, again, this is one of the things where I've just touched the surface of it. It goes
Scrape the
so deep
surface.
because there's
Yeah.
all of the reports you can read in like full
Yeah.
detail, and so many other like little things that like there's so much you could read about it. It's insane, but.
I love those stories that we do. Like, there's been a few so far where it's like, if you just look at
just
all the
keep going.
reports, it's just endless.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that's like so viable
Yeah.
or valid as an actual thing that's happened, you know?
Yeah.
Like official documents and shit like that. So I'm doing something totally different to this.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's so different. It's just kind of cute compared to
Oh, I'm
what
so
you
excited.
do.
I got no clue.
Okay.
I mean, this is
well,
what you said about last week,
I know.
the
and it
Megalodon,
was-
and I ended up getting so fucking scared. 'cause
That
I
was so
didn't
funny.
know it was actually real.
I know.
I told Dylan, and he was so angry at me.
Oh, what was it?
He was like,
angry
"You
at
didn't
you?"
know that the Megalodon was real," because he's a real shark. He's a shark fanboy.
Okay.
It's actually very strange that my best friend and my boyfriend both like really like sharks. They know
Sharks.
like all these shark facts.
That's
and
adorable.
I know it's just happened, and he was just like, "How dare you?" Like, I'm so.
I was very surprised. I was just thinking today, I was like, that's hilarious that Steph didn't realize. It's literally like a cryptid coming true.
It's so, it was funny because when I was writing up the show notes, not the show notes, the social images, I was writing up your heading and I wrote it as, does Megalodon exist? and I was like, oh, still exists. I gotta remember to,
That's right.
like, it did exist. Still
That's
exists.
funny. Your whole world will never be the same again.
Never.
Speaking of sharks, I went to the aquarium yesterday.
Oh, sick.
That was awesome. It was so great.
I
They've got
love the
sharks
aquarium.
there. It was, amazing. Anyway, I'm going to get into my story.
Fuck yeah.
So I'm going to be doing something just a bit different tonight. It's kind of spooky, kind of cute, and it's something that some people may be able to relate to. Tonight I'm going to be talking about ghostly games, or what's also known as parlour games. Games such as like the Ouija board, etc. So I'm going to be talking about the spookiest ones out there.
Ooh.
So we're just going to be going through a list of some of the scariest parlour games.
Okay. I hardly know any.
Yeah, there's like so many out there. I just picked a few, but honestly, like this list could have just gone on forever.
Sick.
So I just want to ask you first, though, have you ever played any parlour games?
So I did a Ouija board once at my friend's house. We actually made it
Oh yeah,
on
like
a piece of
homemade one.
paper. And I don't really remember what happened, but my friend started to get really fucking wigged out. And then we just
okay.
lit the whole thing on fire.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of scary. It can be scary. I mean, I'm usually
I would never do it again.
Yeah. I mean,
Never.
I would love to do it again, but I don't think I could. But
yeah.
especially after living in the Katoomba house,
Yeah.
I think that's also, not that I did the
That's
Ouija
tainted
board.
my whole view on everything now. Like, I don't
yeah.
even want to fucking mess with
No,
shit
you don't
like
want to
that.
fuck around with it. Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't know how to like protect myself properly.
Exactly.
I don't really know what I'm doing. If I
Yeah.
was with someone that like knew how to do it properly, maybe, but I don't. I just can't trust it. I don't know.
I could be wrong about this, but with the Ouija board, I feel like there's like no way to protect yourself. You just
okay. Well, then
risk it when you
yeah.
play. I
That's
could be
enough for me
wrong.
to just not touch it.
But yeah, so as much as I like to claim that I'm a slightly skeptical person about the paranormal, I can become so scared and superstitious about stuff like this. As I said, I have played the Ouija board, though now I just pretty much refuse to, although I really, really want to because I actually love it. I think about the Ouija board all the time and how much I want to do it, but my brain is like, don't fucking do it.
You got the angel and the devil on each shoulder.
Each shoulder, exactly.
Fuck with the demons.
Yeah. Oh, it's so tempting. So first, I guess we will talk about the OG, the ultimate spooky, ghouly game, the Ouija board. Just briefly, because I think most people already know what the go is with this famous board game. So the board itself is a regular board game size, usually with the letters A to Z in an arched shape across the board with the numbers 0 to 9 across the board as well. On one side of the board, there is the word yes, and the other side of the board says no. Usually towards the bottom, there is the word goodbye as well. The game also comes with a planchette, which is what you use to navigate around the board to spell out messages from the other side. So just how do you play the Ouija board? First up, light a few candles, turn the lights off, set the mood. The game is best played with two people. So sit opposite each other. You can't play with one person. You have to play with two people. Both people with one very light finger on the planchette, which should be in the middle of the board. Warm up the board by purposefully moving the planchette around in circles and then stop. Then wait for the planchette to move by itself. Now, people warn that if you happen to come in contact with certain names through the board, such as Zozo or Mama, which is a topic I've covered before terrifyingly on the podcast.
Bravely, you've gone through
Bravely,
it.
terrifyingly, I don't know which one. It's highly advised you don't further communicate with it and end the game because these entities are very dangerous, supposedly. One of the absolutely most important things to do when playing the Ouija board is to close the board once you're finished. You do this by moving the planchette to goodbye. You never, ever, ever take your fingers off the planchette or move away from the board without closing it first. If you don't do this, It can allow entities, especially malicious ones, to move into your home and terrorize you and refuse to leave.
Oh, yeah. That's something I do. I know I do it. I just be like, hang on, I just got to do a pee break.
Yeah, just hold on 1 second.
Yeah, got to fill up my cup of water and then I fucked everything. Yeah.
You do pee a lot.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I've had my own weird experience using the Ouija board that I have talked about on the podcast before. So just to kind of like retell the story briefly, I was in my parents' house when I was still living there playing the Ouija board with my mum and my boyfriend at the time. And so I wanted to play because I wanted to prove to them that it was real. My boyfriend at the time was playing because he didn't believe it, so he wanted to see it was real. And my mum was playing because she wanted to contact her mother who had passed away. And so we put our fingers on the planchette, waiting for it to move, and it was like a split second before it started to move. It felt like someone put their hand on my finger and then it started to move. So it felt like someone was almost pushing it and had kind of brushed up against my finger doing so.
Yeah.
And then it was not long after, maybe like an hour after we finished playing the game, all the lights in the house turned out. All the electricity in the house turned off, and I lost my shit. And my boyfriend at the time ran up the street to see if there was like a blackout in the whole street, and it was only our house. There was no one else who had their lights out. So that was my very scary.
I hate that. That's so scary.
Experience. Yeah, terrifying. I have not played the Ouija board since because this experience scared me so much. And for a house that was super inactive with anything paranormal or creepy, weird stuff started to happen after that night in my parents' house, like TVs turning on by themselves and like other strange stuff like that. So I found a little story from a user online who also had a weird experience with the board.
Ooh.
They said, my buddy and I found a Ouija board at my girlfriend's house. We were really bored, so we went to this graveyard by my house to see if it would actually work. As suspected, nothing happened. We brought the board back to my house and didn't think anything of it. The next day, strange things began happening. Out of nowhere, my friend started having sleep paralysis every time he spent the night at my house, despite never having it before. The first time he saw a tall woman with long black hair standing in the corner of the room facing the wall. The next time he was asleep on the couch and he saw the same woman standing at my open door looking directly into my room. It's like the worst kind of paralysis demon. Is a staring lady. So the next game we're going to explore is a game named Charlie Charlie. This name alone freaks me out. Have you ever heard of Charlie Charlie?
Never fucking heard of this.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like can we skip this one? I'm scared.
It's a pretty creepy name, isn't it?
That's so creepy.
Charlie Charlie. Yeah.
Charlie Charlie.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Oh, Steph.
Oh God. All right.
So with this game, I've heard of it, but I've never played it. I'm definitely not going to now after that. So this game has recently become very popular, especially for people on TikTok and such, to record them playing Charlie Charlie. First of all, who is Charlie anyway? It said that Charlie is either one of two things: a boy who was a victim of a violent crime who is out to seek revenge, or he's a wrathful demon or pagan god who is in cahoots with Satan. Of course, these can't be confirmed or denied, but some people receive very dark and malicious happenings when playing Charlie Charlie, alluding to the possibility that it may be the latter. The way you play Charlie Charlie is quite simple. You get a piece of paper and draw a cross in the middle so as to divide the paper into 4 quadrants. Typically, in each quadrant, you would write yes or no, but it is possible to write other things in the squares. You then get a pencil and place it over one of the lines on the paper. Then you take another pencil and balance it on top of the first pencil, perpendicular with the second line. So now you basically have a cross on the page with two pencils, one on top of the other, kind of balancing, but in a cross formation.
Yeah.
You first have to say out loud, Charlie, Charlie, are you there? And you will know when Charlie has arrived, when the balanced pencil has moved.
Oh no.
Yes. Yep. So now that Charlie has arrived, you can continue to ask him more yes or no questions. And you will get an answer when the pencil will move almost like a compass, pointing to a direction, but instead it's pointing to the yes or no in one of the squares.
So this is a TikTok thing?
It's a TikTok thing. It's been around for longer than TikTok, but it became a TikTok thing where people record them.
Yeah, I guess what is
Charlie.
a TikTok thing now, so.
Everything is a TikTok thing, yeah. So similar to the Ouija board, you really want to say goodbye to Charlie before finishing the game. Otherwise, he can become quite mad and stick around for a while, making your life quite difficult.
Oh, fuck.
Especially considering that Charlie may actually be an evil demon to begin with. It's best to just appease the guy. It's also highly advised that you don't ask questions that you might not want to know the answers to, such as, will I die within the week, etc.
I would never ask questions like that. That is so crazy.
Some people would, though. I mean, it's pretty stupid.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely could. I don't even know what I would ask.
I don't want to know. I don't want to fucking know.
Don't want to know anything.
I really just would rather live everything day by day. Like, I just do not want to. I don't want to know the future. I don't want to know.
Happy being ignorant.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. I mean, it's tempting, but I think it's best not to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what? Like, will I win $1 million? And then it says no, and you're like, oh shit. But then if it says yes, it's like, okay, but when though?
When? A day before you die.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, Charlie, he is known to be a bit of a mean dude as well. So he may just want to fuck with you and say, yes, you're going to die, leaving you with existential dread and anxiety for the rest of your life. A person named Dakota, who submitted their story to the Mirror news outlet online, said this about their experience with Charlie. Dakota had a very horrifying experience when she asked Charlie if she would die tonight. She admitted that she thought the task was stupid at first, but ended up in complete fear and shock when the pencil landed on yes.
Oh.
Even spookier things happened to Dakota when they walked away to do the dishes. I started to hear noises coming from my room, she said. When I walked into my room, my Bible was on the ground facing down. I told myself it was just a cat, but then I remembered my mum took the cat to the vet.
Oh.
And so I said, forget the dishes, I'll do them tomorrow. And then I heard a whisper coming from the living room that was saying my name. So don't fuck with Charlie.
Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Our next spooky game is one that I doubt you and everyone else haven't heard of. But then again, judging from last week's episode, you may not. There are some things that you don't know. I thought you would know. But it's a game. It's called Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of Bloody Mary. Okay.
I was in a movie called Bloody Mary when I was in year 5.
What?
It's
That's
on
a
YouTube.
strange movie for year 5. What, year 5 or you were 5?
Year 5, so I was like 11.
Still not that much better though.
There is... Yeah, that's for another day.
Okay, you can tell us that story next time.
Yeah.
So this game, it particularly freaks me out. And I guess you could say there's actually some history behind this one in a very, very loose sense. So a Bloody Mary is actually based off a real person in history. She was known as Mary Tudor or Queen Mary I, and she was Queen of England and Ireland from 1553 until her death in 1558. She also infamously earned the name Bloody Mary due to her prosecution of Protestants in England in an attempt to solely restore Roman Catholicism to her kingdom. She ordered people to be hung, and more commonly, she would have people burnt at the stake for refusing to convert to Catholicism.
Fuck, what a beast of a woman. What
Yeah,
the
she
actual
was,
fuck?
and she's actually the daughter of King Henry, who I did for our Valentine's.
Fuck stick guy, yeah.
I know. The whole family are just fucking loose units.
They're the ones that should be burnt on a fucking stake, if anyone. Like,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on.
They were horrible. The whole, like, he was mad. She was clearly mad.
Yeah, just bad genes. Like,
Bad genes, yeah. So it's said that Mary Tudor, or Bloody Mary, this is the person who will haunt you if you play this game. The game, Bloody Mary. What is it exactly? To start the game, all you need is a dark room at nighttime, one candle with something to light it with, and a mirror big enough to see your face and behind you. You must play this game alone with nobody else in the room. You light the candle, place it in front of the mirror and yourself. Face the mirror and make eye contact with yourself and start repeating the phrase Bloody Mary, adding volume to each repeat and say it until you've said it 13 times.
oh, 13. I thought
Yeah.
it was 3.
Well, I saw some people say 3. I saw some people say 13.
Oh,
so I went with
interesting.
13. Maybe it is 3. Let's say it's 3 because
Could be
13 is a
13.
13's a
I don't know.
lot of times.
It is a lot of times, but yeah, I don't know. Heard 13.
No, let's go with 3. 3 times.
Okay.
Then you look further into the mirror. Is there someone behind you? Next to you? You're not allowed to turn around no matter what you see. There's actually been countless, apparently true recounts of people playing this game and actually seeing something. It is definitely one of the most prevalent spooky parlour games that seems to give results. And there may actually be a bit of science behind it, not to ruin the moment or anything. It's believed that the low light in the room and staring in one place for a while can start to distort your vision and perceptions.
Oh.
The same way if you stare at like a group of lines for a while and they just start
it's like an
to
optical
move.
illusion
It's
kind
like an
of thing.
optical illusion, yeah.
Man, Bloody Mary used to. I was actually so scared to do that when I was like a teenager, like early teenager. We
Have
would
you
all
done
dare
it?
each other to do. Yeah, I've done
Oh,
it.
you've done it, yeah.
I've done it a couple times. Yeah, I've done it. It was not fun.
Scary. Yeah,
I didn't see
no.
anything, but I was like shitting myself.
I don't think I could do it as an adult.
I'm not even gonna. No, yeah. I don't believe it. And I'm like, I'm not fucking doing it. But yeah, I was so angry. Like later on in my teens, when people would be like, "Just do it. It's that the thing." I'm like, I'm not even gonna
Not
do
doing
it. Like,
it, no.
I did it when I was 13. I didn't see anything. I'm done. I'm not
Yep.
fucking with it again.
You've paid your dues.
Yeah.
Yeah, so aside from this possible explanation as to why you see something when you play this game, there have been some pretty scary stories from real people who say that they've seen Bloody Mary. One of these stories is from a person named Lauren who submitted her experience online. Lauren said, "Me and a friend were in an experimental mood the night we decided to try calling Bloody Mary. While out on the road, we stopped at a gas station with an outdoor restroom.
The fuck? They're doing it in like the scariest place ever.
The scummiest place
Yeah.
ever as well. Like gas. Oh my God. So I'm presuming this person's in America because
we did
they
not
said
say
gas
gas.
station. I have been to like middle of buttfuck nowhere gas stations, and it is exactly like a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it. It is just, I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
a stuck-up person. I'm not fucking anything like that. But it is just,
That's terrifying.
it's terrifying. They're just, I don't even
Just
know
to
how
think of
describe it.
the like working there, they would have to be the owner. Like, and I mean, I think of like Chainsaw Massacre, like I think of all
Exactly.
of these like horror movies because
Yes.
yeah, you're in the middle of nowhere, you kind of have to go there to
You have
get
to.
petrol,
Exactly.
supplies like
food and
toilets,
stuff.
food,
Yeah.
like a payphone, advice, like like
Yes.
you have to go there, and they're just like, yes, come to me.
Oh, it's crazy. And they're usually along really long stretches of road as well. So there's like nothing else around. It's just like this random as fuck gas station with like one person working in it. And it's like everything is super dry and dusty and it's just very, very eerie. So we went in, turned off the lights, lit a candle, saying Bloody Mary 13 times. So again, 13 times. I don't know, 13 times. My friend flushed the toilet while I stared into the mirror and she left the room. What little of my reflection I could make out started turning red before the mirror cracked in two.
Oh,
I kept staring, even though the mirror had broken. Then my friend, I could hear her screaming from outside, and I ran out to her. Outside, my friend discovered that my face didn't just appear red, it was covered in blood.
oh my God.
When we cleaned my face, we discovered tiny scratch marks, like fingernail scratches, all over my face. Getting physical.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but like you're asking for it. I mean,
You're
I
asking for
really wouldn't be doing like, what do you want? You did Bloody Mary in a fucking deserted gas station bathroom.
That's crazy. Exactly. What were you
That's exactly
expecting?
what.
This is
what's
what you
gonna
wanted.
Oh.
So there are others who have claimed that due to playing Bloody Mary, their lives haven't been the same again. They've since received weird hauntings in their homes, with entities taunting them endlessly with no escape.
Oh.
There was one person named Amanda who claims that contacting Bloody Mary led her to a lifetime of drug use and mental health issues due to being not just traumatized by her experience, but also oppressed by certain spirits in her home. Our next game on the list is a Japanese game that is called Tsuji Ora, or the Fortune Game. This game has to be played at a crossroads, and crossroads in history of lore has always been quite significant.
Yeah.
It's apparently where werewolves are able to transform. It's the place where fae folk can make their way into the human world, and apparently love potions and memory spells are more powerful if created at a crossroads. But in the game Tsuji Ora, it's a place where you can possibly strike a deal with the devil.
Okay.
You need just one person to play Tsuji Ora, as well as a comb, something to blind yourself with, which could be a scarf or an eye cover, and obviously a crossroads location. To play, you're basically going to perform a summoning ritual. It has to be done at night only, and when you've arrived at the crossroads that you've chosen, you must stand as much in the middle as possible without being hit by a car. It's now time to perform the ritual. You must take the comb you have and make it speak. To do this, you strum the comb teeth with your fingers 3 times. After you've done this, repeat the phrase, Tsuji Ora, grant me a true response. You repeat this 3 times and then you wait. You must wait for a stranger to approach you. If nothing or nobody approaches you, the game has failed and you can go home.
Which
Try
I would
again.
hope for.
Yeah, you would hope so.
I
But
wouldn't be doing this, that's for sure.
in a fucking crossroads, I'm imagining a crossroads in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, like a misty, cold,
Yeah.
dark night.
Yeah, exactly. If someone you know approaches you, the game has also failed. You only know the game has succeeded if a stranger approaches you.
Oh, okay.
If you do see a stranger approaching you, you must straight away put on your blindfold. You will be able to hear their steps getting closer and closer to you. It is imperative that you do not take off your blindfold. It's said that if you do, you will be followed home and tormented by something evil. Also, there's a chance that what you see when you take your blindfold off could just scare you to death.
Oh, fuck.
Apparently, there was a case of a woman who took her blindfold off before stranger left, and what she saw was absolutely terrifying. She saw herself staring back at her, but she didn't look exactly like herself. She looked a little bit different. After leaving the crossroads, she would frequently see this strange doppelganger walking behind her on her way home. She would spy her through a window watching her while in class. She began hearing a voice in her house that sounded eerily like her own, calling her name, yet she was never able to find the source of the sound. So you definitely want to keep the blindfold on
Yes.
when you're playing
That's
2G Aura.
really traumatic. I would hate to deal with that.
Seeing yourself just staring back
that
at
would
you.
fuck with me. No.
And
Yeah,
it's
I
just
hate that.
staring at you as well. Once you can tell that the stranger has reached you, you are now able to ask a question, any question. You can only remove the blindfold once you've been given your answer and the stranger has left. It's important to remember that the stranger can only give you the answer to your question, but they can't tell you what to do with the information that you've been given. You must always be polite and say thank you after you've finished. Otherwise, the stranger will be pissed and again begin to torment you. So basic decency,
Manners.
politeness, manners. It's
Very
said that-
Japanese.
very exactly. Be polite or you will die. It's said that with this game's popularity within Japan growing, many people attempted this game, and there were a handful of people that took their lives after discovering the truth to their answers.
No way. That's fucked up.
I know.
This one's probably the scariest one to
It
me.
is.
Yeah.
Just like also imagining what it would be like with a blindfold on, hearing a stranger.
I'm not
coming
blindfolding
towards
myself.
you.
Like, I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to stand in the middle of a fucking road. Like,
I mean,
just the basic things. I'm like, nah, I'm
not
good.
going to do it. No.
Nah.
That's fine. I mean, I'm all right if you don't do those things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do them either.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to stop there with our ghostly games. But there are so many out there that weren't a mention. Three Kings, The Doors of Your Mind, Shoebox Telephone, The Midnight Game. The list goes on.
You've got to
and
do
on.
another one of these.
I'll do a follow-up. I'll do
yeah,
a follow-up.
that's so cool.
All of these games seem to involve some kind of like ritual or summoning while playing. And I can't advise anyone to play these games because I know even me, myself, I've had crazy experiences with one of them. If you go through YouTube, you can find some really terrifying videos of people apparently possessed by entities while playing the Ouija board,
Oh,
Charlie, which ends in people either laughing manically or getting scratched, objects being thrown across the room, people blacking out. Aside from the Ouija board, these parlour games have been played by people for hundreds of years across the globe. I wonder if maybe we just have a natural draw to the paranormal to find answers of what exists on the other side. I think one day I will be brave enough to play the Ouija board again, maybe outside in a park somewhere in the daytime.
Yeah. and I'll be watching from a distance.
from afar with your binoculars.
Through the binoculars, yeah, on a roof somewhere.
On a roof. Yeah,
With
you've got a cross and
walkie-talkies.
holy water.
Oh my god, that was awesome. I have not. I've never even thought that was a thing to go through the games. That's so cool. I didn't know there were so many
Yeah.
of them. I had no idea.
There's so many. I found a list. Like one website was like 45 parlor games that
no
you don't want to
way.
play. There's so many of
Yeah,
them.
you're definitely gonna have to do a follow up. Just surprise us with a follow up.
I'll do a follow-up,
at
yeah.
some point. Yeah,
In a
that
while.
was. Yeah, that was mad. I think the last one that really freaked me out. I think just because of the visuals I'm getting of like
Yes.
a blindfolded person. I wouldn't
agree.
fucking approach someone if they're in a crossroad with blindfold on by themselves.
Fuck
But,
no.
like,
I think that's the point. I think that's the
yeah.
point because they say it's supposed to be like the devil,
Yeah.
like kind of striking a deal with you.
Yeah.
Like the devil approaches you and can give you an answer to a question. And
holy shit.
yeah, pretty
Fuck yeah.
scary.
Well, you said it was going to be like kind of like a fun thing, but that was
thought-
actually really scary.
I thought it was just because it was like, oh, it's parlor games.
It's games.
That's
yeah.
kind of fun. I guess maybe I've just like set the standard with all those really fucking terrifying stories I did a while ago.
Yeah.
Now it's like with this, I'm like, oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun
Another
story.
one. Like, okay, Jordi, sure.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, we had some really good episode.
Yes.
It's a bit of a long one, but that was awesome.
That's okay. That's fine.
A lot of shit talking, a lot of weird little
Yeah.
animal updates from us.
Yeah, that was a great little episode.
Yeah.
Long
Thanks.
episode.
Yeah, it was a good long one. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Special thank you to our lovely little patrons that
We love you.
are supporting us.
Yes.
We think about you all the time.
Yes,
thank
when we're
you a
falling
lot.
asleep, when we're in the bar.
Oh yeah.
When we're
I've
going
got
for a
I've got a
walk.
little picture frame next to my bed that just says patrons, and I give it a little
Patrons,
kiss before I go to
yeah.
bed.
Me too.
Yeah, we both do. Yeah. I guess we'll leave it there for this episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your support. If you can leave a review or a rating, I mean, it'd just be so great.
Yeah.
But
You get 2 kisses.
get 2 kisses on the cheek.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll talk at you next week.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. This episode of Spooky Mountain was created and recorded on land of the original custodians, the Gundungurra and Bidjigal people. We pay respects to the past, present, and emerging mob. My name is Jordi, and I'm a proud Gunya woman. Thank you for listening.